Okay, I I believe we are live. So, welcome to the podcast, and as per usual, the fifth Sunday, um, we use the Sunday to do a men's related topic. So instead of the usual Bree and myself today, I have a good friend of mine um, co-hosting with me, and I'll just quickly introduce him. His name is Marvin Riley. I Marv, we have known each other for what now? Over 25, almost going 30 years, I guess. Close, right? And Marv brings a unique perspective, different from mine. He's in law enforcement, so he can speak um, from that point of view, and the population that he interacts with, right? So today we are talking about um, uh, how can we be okay when life isn't okay. So I guess my first question to you, Mark, is it possible? Is it possible for men to show up, intact and okay um, at home? Can he show up okay at work and among his peers? I guess we can start there. I guess we sounds like we're having some technical difficulties because Marv, I'm not hearing you.
Can't hear you, brother.
I Okay. Did you hear the question, Marv?
Can't hear you.
I'm hearing you, so I'm not quite sure. So you're not hearing me. I'm wondering uh, if Bree on her side can. Um, okay, hold on. Um, okay, Marv, are you there now? Give us a moment, friends. As usual, once we're doing the podcast, something always, some technical issues always arise. The devil is always trying to mess with the process. But we are going to be prayerful, and um, I'm hoping that Bree can come back in. Uh, Marv, do you want to try and log out and log back in? Marvin? Okay. Um, Okay. Let's try something else. I mean, I can hear you. Hello?
If you can hear me, brother, I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Right. Okay. Okay. This
I'm not sure what's happening.
I'm not quite right. I'm wondering if because Bree logged out on her side that the because she is the account is under her profile. I mean we have never experienced this before. Um, I'm going to see if I can get Bree, but okay. This is crazy. This is crazy. I am sorry about that. Um, Marv, is that better? Okay. Okay, so I'm sending a message to Bree, hoping that she will be able to okay,
Can you hear
Marv.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, but I can't hear you.
Right.
I don't
I
know. I
just
don't know
sent
what's happening. I got everything up. I just double checked. I don't know where the disconnect is.
yeah. I just sent a message to Bree asking her to log back in. Hmm. Boy. Bree? I mean, my volume is up.
I don't want to be on screen, but I'm just letting you know both of your microphones are on. I'm not sure if it's on
Hello?
Marvin's end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
there it is.
right. So somehow, Bree, when you come out, we're not hearing.
I've not had that issue before. So what I'll do, I'll just leave my screen on.
Right.
All
Right.
right.
Thank
I'll
you.
just leave my screen on.
Thanks. Thanks.
All right.
Yeah. So okay,
So,
Mark.
Andrew, are you getting the feedback again?
No, 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 no. But the question is, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. All right. So let's start over. So let's start with the introduction again. So tonight's podcast is being hosted um, with myself and my good friend Marvin Riley, who I've known approximately 25, 30 years, I would probably say.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Marvis and is is in the what's the best way to say this? Um, the
Just
law
say it, brother.
enforcement, law
Just
enforcement,
say it.
law
There you go.
enforcement. Yes.
There
So
you
Marvis in law enforcement.
go.
Uh, so he brings a different and a unique perspective to these arguments, and we are just going to talk about um, how to how can we learn to show up when life is giving us lemons, when life is life, and when life is difficult, right? So pretty much, that's the our topic for tonight. So Marv, the the question um, is it possible for us men to show up intact and okay uh, at home? Can we show up okay at work and among our peers when life is not going the way how we want it? When life is not okay?
Well, I'm gonna say this: it's a
Yeah.
double-edged sword
Mm.
because for me, and I'm speaking about me personally,
Yeah.
right? You wear many hats,
Mm.
and when you go to work, you have to leave your personal life at the door,
Right. Right.
right? So basically, for me,
Mm.
a lot of times once I get to work,
Right.
everything comes off.
Right.
But like you said just a little while ago, life is still life, right? You
Yeah.
still have the issues when the 8 to 16 hours is done,
Right.
and you have to step back out
Right.
and deal with that after dealing with work.
Mm.
So yes, it's possible,
Yeah.
but it all depends on the individual and how they can switch gears. Not everybody can do that.
Right. Right. Right.
Everybody, but for me, I have to, because when you're dealing in the general public,
Hmm.
you're under a watchful eye. So you
Right.
can't wear your emotions on your sleeves. You have to kind of like check that at the door
Right.
and
Yeah.
take care of business. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
So,
know, it,
yeah. Yeah. Because we hear so many statistics out there, you know, uh, of the increased suicide rate,
mhm,
the in men in general, and
mhm,
even so much more among black men. You know, so and even in the for the younger generation, um, the the statistics are telling us that less young men are entering university,
mhm,
um, and the the amount that are actually graduating on time, even at all, is declining. So looking at those things, that was the foundation really for tonight's podcast. To sort of you know, talk about really um, how can we how can we be okay um, when life is not going well, to ensure that we're not checking out, you know, um, because when men are not showing up, that has a ripple effect on society at large, right?
So as you mentioned that, right? Let's tap in a little bit to the mental health side of it, right? Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about, the values and the attitudes and the behaviors when it comes to that, because basically what you're saying, when you say about the checking out, you
Mm,
know, when it gets tough
mm,
as a man, as men,
mm,
young men, seasoned men, what 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 do you have to hold on to, or what can you turn to when
mm.
it's everyone's turning to you for
Right.
the advice, or for you to, like you said earlier about, stepping up as a man,
Right.
what are you going to do,
Hmm. Hmm.
and even for young men, getting challenged in certain ways in terms of having to produce,
Hmm. Hmm.
having to maybe produce or compete with a family member.
Right.
Maybe dad went to, prestige school, so now
Hmm.
the pressure's on to follow in those type of footsteps,
Right.
and
Right.
maybe, you know, the young man may not feel that, this is right for him. He may have, he's trying to find his way,
Right.
but
Right.
there's pressure there.
Mm.
Then, like you said, for the more seasoned adult, when you have finances, you have relationship, meaning your significant other, wife,
Mm.
relationship with your children,
Mm.
all these different aspects of life.
Mm.
And sometime, they may attack you all at once.
Yeah. So hearing that, um, I'll just take one step backwards and just say, um, what what is at the foundation of this? In a sense that what are those masculine norms, right? Um, and when I say masculine norms, those traits that we commonly associate with being a man, with
Hmm.
manhood, strength and aggression and
Hmm.
power and leadership.
Hmm.
Um, um, you know, when 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 the world defines you like that, how does that help us being men, and and simultaneously, how do those masculine norms fail us? You know, um, you you want to take a shot at that, like how those masculine norms um, help us, like you know, like at work for you.
Um, well, here's what I'll say to that. You have people that will challenge,
Yeah,
especially coming from my profession,
yeah,
challenge your authority, right?
right, right.
So because you have certain capabilities
Mm-hmm.
and there's rules and regulations that people have to follow,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
There there there's a fine line between following the rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enforcing the rules,
Right.
and excessively for enforcing the rules.
Right. Right.
So you may have where and I'm just gonna just tap into when we say life is life, and you may have a day where, you
Mm-hmm.
know, today just wasn't a good day, right? For
Mm-hmm.
you from the start of the morning,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the car, the children,
Right.
whatever have you,
Yeah.
just interrupted your peace, your you know your norm, right?
Right.
So then you get to work,
Yeah.
and now you have to deal with
Mm-hmm.
someone who has issues with following rules and regulations,
Right.
and now
Right.
you have to enforce it.
Yeah.
So now it becomes a thing of, you know, are you going to stay professional
Mm-hmm.
or tap into what you just said? Are
Mm-hmm.
you going to show that, listen, at the end of the day, I'm a man, so
Right.
you're not gonna overpower me, and plus I have the power
Right.
to do what
Mm-hmm.
I need to do if necessary, right?
Right. Right.
So a lot of times, you have that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's the key, people have to understand that, you know, we're human,
Mm-hmm.
and people are going to make mistakes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to fall short.
Mm-hmm.
If I see that this conversation between myself and someone is
Mm-hmm.
going left
Right.
because it's not personal, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
that may be happening on their end or my end, right? But more
Mm-hmm.
so, let's stick with me. It may be happening on my end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I now have to be
Mm-hmm.
mature enough to say, you know what?
Right.
Let me take five,
Right. Right. You're
and
right.
and
So
and, and
so
that and that
right. So
takes
let me not take up my personal
right,
issues
right,
on this inmate.
or or
Right.
or or this particular you see what I'm saying? Like this
Yeah.
particular situation,
Yeah.
because again, it
Mm-hmm.
can escalate
Right.
very quickly.
Right. Right.
And then when the smoke clears,
Mm-hmm.
and now you
Right.
have a time to decompress and
Yeah.
see, then you'll get to the root that, you know what, it wasn't really even worth it for me to
Right.
engage because I was already upset at something else.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
also can help. Let's tap into that a little bit. It could also help in a way that, you know some people, right, and some men, and
Mm-hmm.
I can admit, and I'm going to admit on here that I feel better sometime when I get to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even when life is lifing,
Mm-hmm.
by the time I hit the door,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay. For that 8 to 16 hours, I'm okay, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I'm only going to say that because I enjoy what I do.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
some people may not enjoy what they do, so it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult for them to separate the two,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
Yeah. I
So
understand
so
that.
because I enjoy what I do, I know that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't take a lot of the stuff that I get personal.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
a career, it's a job, it's
Right.
something that I have to do because I took an oath to do it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so it again, it can work against you,
Mm-hmm.
and then it
Mm-hmm.
can work in your favor if and it just doesn't go for the law enforcement. It goes for
Yeah. In
any
general.
any
Yeah.
any career, in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
if you do not like what you do, or you don't
Right.
have a passion for what you do, let's say that,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to find it difficult at times to separate
Mm-hmm.
your personal life
Right.
from work.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because as we know, and I'm quite sure you've dealt with it too, Andrew, over the years,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people come to work and they bring that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, to work, and now you make everybody else miserable. You make
Right.
everybody else's day bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I think, it works for you in both ways. It
Mm-hmm.
just depends on the individual and the maturity level.
Yeah. I would just add to that, to what you're saying, in a sense where we're looking at the masculine norms, how how they may, in some other instance, fail us, because if we simply just look at ourselves through those lens of uh, being the leader and having the power and um, with the strength and aggression, um, what what will happen is, sometimes we don't tap into our emotional side of us, and um, and it's not something that men want to talk about or to admit, but we all have emotions. We love and joy and hate and anger, and all of that is part of who we are.
Mhm.
And sometimes those cultural norms of what it means to be a man prevent us from feeling in certain situations. So therefore, what happens is we don't know how to communicate those feelings, because we don't know how to communicate um, a sense of loneliness, or a sense of isolation, or a sense of defeat, or um, or sometimes even the need for love, um, because you know we were just never trained. If you go as a young boy, you go to your mom or your dad, and you want to express some feelings, they'll quickly tell you to suck it up, and men don't do this and men don't do that. So we learn very quickly
Mhm.
to be very stoic, and to sort of like shut down and to hold those feelings inside. And now when we mature, when we're grown, and we're in relationships, whether it's at work or at home, with your significant other, and you have a heartache, or uh, you know your business collapse, or you can't provide because of financial difficulty, we just don't know how to navigate those spaces well. And um, and I think that's what is really coming to head, um, now, where there's this increase of men committing suicide,
Mhm.
because they don't know how to communicate. They feel isolated. They feel as though they're the only ones experiencing that thing, whatever that thing is:
Mhm.
heartache, loneliness, the inability to perform, financially, emotionally. And so I think we really have to sort of tap into that, to sort of bring that out, so that we can talk about it, and let men know that those emotions, they're valid, and
Yeah,
they need to be addressed.
yeah. There's nothing. See, I think, and you said it uh, a little while ago when you mentioned about your parents, or
Mm.
just even the talk of suck it up. You know,
Yeah,
men don't cry. Let's say that.
yeah,
And we know that that's the furthest thing from the truth.
right,
What
right,
what, what happens is people dismiss
yeah,
men's feelings based on their so let's use society now. Society
hmm,
paints this picture
hmm,
of what a man is supposed to be.
right,
But what does God say?
right,
What
yeah,
does the Bible say?
Yeah.
You know, what does the Bible talk about?
Yeah.
You know,
Or just what does Tony says, as opposed to just dismissing what he's trying to communicate. He's like, can you just stop what you're doing and just listen to what your brother, your uncle, your father, what is that man trying to say? What is he trying to communicate? Um, as opposed to just simply dismissing him, and then no, he feels that uh, that he can no longer go to that spot anymore. He no longer feels safe with you because
it,
he tried to communicate something and you failed to see him in that moment.
because sometimes, you know, you have people that aren't secure within themselves. So,
Mm.
you know, they may see something in
Hmm.
what you're saying,
Yeah.
or you may be challenging something, right?
Hmm. Right.
You may be challenging the authority. You may be
Hmm.
challenging. So the best way to deal with that, as opposed to having a conversation,
Hmm.
is to show aggression, show strength. You know, show these things that they say masculinity is about.
Hmm.
But in all actuality, like you said, you know, why? Let's find out why this
Yeah.
person is acting the way they're acting. So
Right.
I'll just give an example. If I'm on a job and someone is irate about a situation,
Hmm.
you know, you don't meet them necessarily where they are, right? You have to bring it down so that they
Hmm.
can calm down.
Right. Right.
So if they're on 100, you need to be at 50.
Right. Yeah.
Then once they meet you at 50, they get to 50, you dial it down some more.
Right. Right.
So that the more you dial it down, the more
Mm.
comfortable
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
feel talking to you. So then now
Hmm. Hmm.
you get to understand, you
Hmm.
know, you're listening, you know, your tools are together, you
Right.
understand what they're saying. So now
Hmm. Hmm.
once they understand that you are listening to them as opposed to being dismissive and brushing
Right.
them off,
Right. Right.
the tone changes,
Right.
the
Right.
body language changes, the
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation changes.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
you know, it's all in.
Yeah.
Again, I'll go back to the maturity
Yeah.
in the delivery. You know
Yeah.
how you deliver
Hmm.
your words,
Hmm.
what you initially say.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know that has a strong impact on how the conversation is going to go.
Right. And so you in law enforcement, what you're saying is part of your training is learning how to de-escalate, which is a part of communication, your
Mhm.
communication skill that don't only have to exist within that space, but if you took that home, but um, in the family setting, those same skills can apply. And so as you're saying that, I'm saying that, so it's not just how culture that stereotypes of masculine norms, um, you know it it not only fails us as men, but it fails the women also, because um, their understanding, they're using those masculine norms to communicate to us. So they're not seeing us as a whole. They're just, you know, responding and reacting to us based on this is how you should behave. because she could be saying, this is how my dad behaved. This is how society said men should behave. So now when you are showing up to her and you're saying, honey, sweetheart, wife, girlfriend, blah blah blah. I want to share something with you. I want to offload this. I want to share my heart with you. How this thing, whatever that thing that I'm feeling. Um, she is not necessarily to be blamed. In a sense that it's because she is not educated. She doesn't know. So you can't really blame her for something that she's unaware of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
that
yeah. Just saying it because it is it is so easy to say, oh, she did not do X, Y, and Z. But guess what? Maybe she, she she's completely unaware. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because so many men are unaware themselves. So clearly, it would also mean that she is unaware that you possess these things.
well,
Just a thought.
here's the thing, brother.
Yeah.
You and I have had talks before, and you talk about when couples or people are equally yoked,
Yeah.
and what happens a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know your mate or don't know
Mm-hmm.
the person, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're going to find yourself in that situation, right? Where when you come home
Yeah.
and you've had a hard day,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get the response on either end
Mm-hmm.
that is expected,
Right. Right.
it's going to erupt into something else.
Right. Right.
We
Yeah.
want to, it's funny, right? Because we want to stay away from, what you said earlier about the blame game. You don't want to blame
Mm-hmm.
anybody.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, you know, again, going back to being equally yoked or knowing your mate,
Mm-hmm.
if you know your mate is a person that, usually is, free spirit and pretty much easygoing, not
Mm-hmm.
always angry all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and seems like they have a chip on their shoulder. If they do happen to come in and the, something seems off,
Mm-hmm.
then that should create some type of, okay, let me give them some space
Mm-hmm.
to decompress,
Right.
and then I'll engage in a conversation. Now,
Right.
it could be even something as simple as, you know, we'll take the female side of it and say, was home with the children
Mm-hmm.
and they were just bouncing off the walls,
Right.
trying to get dinner prepared, trying to do
Right.
homework. So the evening wasn't the best of evening
Mm-hmm.
on her end.
Right.
So you're coming with conflict, and she has, household conflict, with the
Right.
children and other things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm following.
How does that translate into
Mm-hmm.
both parties getting their point across to have that peace,
Right.
and peace with each other?
Right.
See,
Yeah.
that is a whole nother podcast, but
No, no, because
again.
no, I mean, I know what you mean because guess
No,
what?
no, no. I'm
No,
just
no, no.
saying
I mean,
because
I hear you. I
you,
hear you.
you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
so again, as a man,
Mm-hmm.
you do want to feel loved and appreciated. You want to be able to come home
Yeah.
and, yes, to some degree, it's understood
Mm-hmm.
that, when you walk through the door, you know that's your sanctuary, that's your place of peace, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So while there might be a lot of different things happening. It should be understood that, okay, you know, he's on his way home, don't kind of know what the day is going to bring.
Mm.
Let's try to settle things, and then let's see what that looks like when
Mm.
he walks through the door.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, to sort of peel back some layers on this, because I know um, the female viewers are going to say, well, okay, do not assume that the man is coming home and the wife is at home, because he's coming home and she may be coming home half an hour later, because she does not live in the home. Most homes, both men and women are working. All right. So I just
True.
wanted to,
True.
right.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah.
Right. So that is the more typical household, as opposed to the man being out and the woman in. Um, so, 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 so the question really is, um, if the man is saying, "How can I be okay when life is not okay?" Because he's coming home, he was working hard, he was doing whatever, um, and he's coming home, and his expectation is his house should be his sanctuary. He doesn't want to come home and have the same fight that he just had on the job at home. He wants to come home and decompress. Um, and guess what? His wife, who just had the same, who is just working, um, maybe the same job or a different job, but the same type of fight that she is having, she doesn't want to come home and fight either. But guess what? The problem is, um, we have to step away. Just thinking this out fast right now is, those cultural norms are what is handcuffing us and causing us a lot of grief, because he may be coming home saying he wants to come home to a meal, a hot meal. Where is she finding time to come home and have a hot meal prepared for him? Where is she finding time to come home and to sort of hold back the kids from coming charging when he comes through the door, and just to sort of give daddy space? So I think really what this is begging is, we have to stop allowing the world to define us. Stop allowing the world to define our roles and our duties. And what should happen is, uh, when you come together, as man and woman, whether married or just coming together, living together, I think a conversation needs to be had. Like, we're not going to um, we're not going to assume anything. We're going to have an open conversation of what our lives look like, um, and what works for us in our house, and not live comparing ourselves. You're not going to live and compare your wife to what you see on Instagram and how other women are living in their house, and she shouldn't be doing the same. You know what I mean? So therefore, whatever works for you, you need to have that conversation and live your life that way, and not compare it to the standard of the world.
Yeah. And again, let's go back to what I said in the beginning,
Yeah.
the equally yoked part, right? So
Right.
so because if you're equally yoked, right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what you just said at the end,
Mm-hmm.
it will be understood. That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
again, it goes back to, what you and your mate decided from the beginning,
Right. Right.
not something that is assumed,
Right. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So again, so just to be fair, like you said, to give the female listeners,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a blame game, it's not a picking on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you said about, okay, where would she find time to cook? So I'm just using that as an example.
Right. Right.
Well, it and I may be going out on a limb here speaking for
Mm-hmm.
men, but 9 times out of 10, men, especially this today, society today, you have a
Mm-hmm.
lot more men cooking. You have a lot more men doing, I'm one of them. So you have a lot more men doing
Mm-hmm.
those duties, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more so what you said about the
The
conversations
conversation.
that you are having.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if it's one person blaming the other,
Mm-hmm.
or one person feeling like they're getting more me time than the other,
Right.
then that's where I think the conflict starts to happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, if if you have these discussions ahead
Mm-hmm.
of time, right?
Yeah.
Then you won't find yourself in that arena.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It lessens the amount of arguments
Right, right.
and so I mean you you'll always have arguments in any relationship,
Any
but
relationship, right?
but 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 at, but but at least you will have ground rules,
Mm-hmm.
because you spoke about this and you can always go back to it, and as the relationship changes, because circumstances changes, right?
Yep.
um, one person may find themselves working in one season, and then in another season
Mm-hmm.
things may happen,
Mm-hmm.
health issues,
Mm-hmm.
um, economy,
Right.
life just happens, and things, you know life causes these twists and turns in the relationship. But but what we're saying is really, um, have these conversations, and don't assume anything that your husband is, this is his job, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
the situation, and he is saying this is her job regardless. No, um, you're both setting up each other for failure. You're just going to create a lot of friction there. So really and truly, um, have those conversations so that everybody's needs can be met.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say, you brought it up earlier. Um, what How would the Bible describe manhood?
Mm-hmm.
um, I can say as a Christian, uh, the the ideas of the masculine norms that I had before, um, just turned on its head completely once I became a Christian. Not that men suddenly aren't strong and suddenly aren't whatever, but but as a Christian, there are just certain things, Marv, I can tell you that I take for granted, the way I think, because I'm a Christian, the way I approach situations, um, are completely different from when I was out in the world, and that's simply because reading the Bible, just um, experiencing the love of God, right? Um, does something to you. You learn how, and this is not to say that all Christian men are this way or all Christians are whatever, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that as a Christian, as someone, as you grow and mature in your Christian faith,
Mm-hmm.
it 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 ought to um, it ought to reflect how you interact with your spouse, your children, and your community. You can't, your Christianity can't just be um, a Sunday thing or a Sabbath thing. It has to permeate all aspects of your life. So I have to learn to be understanding uh, to my wife. Otherwise, what type of Christian would I be? You know what I mean? I can't just assume and expect uh, what the world is saying and hold her to things, some norms that are just that's just crazy. That doesn't make any sense. No, I have to be sympathetic. I have to get in there and roll up my sleeves and do my part because my job, my role as a Christian, a husband, um, Ephesians 5, tells me, Marv, that I ought to love my wife the same way Christ loved the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that alone, just that little phrase alone, um, I don't need to know the entire Bible. I don't need to know from Genesis to Revelation. No, but just certain basic principles um, ought to ought to arrest your attention and cause you to be reflective and say, you know what, um, I need to show up, um, even if I am having a bad day, or even if, let's say, I lost my job, right? I need to still show up and provide and protect um, in the best way that I can. And that doesn't always have to be the way all the world, quote unquote, dictates a man should be. But however I can show up for my wife and my kids, that is my role as a Christian man. So there's just something about being a Christian and reading the word and having the Spirit of God in you. It just does something for you that that you just can't really experience on the outside. I'm not quite sure if I'm really explaining it to you.
No,
you
no,
know
no, no. I
yeah.
listen. I get it. What I was going to challenge you with, just with that thought process,
Yeah.
and what you're saying, right? Let's like you said, peel back a little layer here, real quick,
Yeah.
and let's speak to maybe a man
Mm.
trying to find, because now here we go. You have different religions, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have a man who's a Muslim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
His view may be a lot different,
Mm-hmm.
and his
Right.
concept
Yeah.
may be a lot different, and what his expectations of his mate may be different, right?
Right.
This
Right.
is a man who's practicing. I mean, his faith base is a Muslim, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so we know that that's a community in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the overall picture is that there is a higher power,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said,
Mm-hmm.
What about the person that is struggling with that, right?
Yeah.
But still need to have that security, that peace of mind, that maybe like you said, I losing a job, right? If the
Yeah.
life is life, and boom, come in on Friday and they hear that, listen, today, is your last day. We're not going to need your services anymore. Don't give you
Right.
anything. Just tell you pack your bags and
Right.
go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How does one who doesn't have faith, right,
Mm-hmm.
take on that challenge and go home now
Mm-hmm.
and try to express
Mm-hmm.
how they feel, knowing that the rent may be due in a few
Mm-hmm.
days, right?
Right.
Or even, car note, whatever it is that's due,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have to go and put that on the family and say, listen, I just lost my job,
Right.
you know, things haven't been the best, so now we
Mm-hmm.
go down the financial road.
Right.
The savings is not where it needs to be. So there's a
Right.
lot of different
Yeah.
things that the man is driving home thinking about now. Now he's really like, man, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I was living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
You
Right.
see, these are
Yeah.
the
This is real
things.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, this the so I hear you,
Yeah.
right? But you'll have some men out there that'll
Mm-hmm.
say, listen, you know, I haven't found, and I'm just gonna say it, I haven't found a church. Or I mean, it don't take much to pick up the Bible and read, but you'll
Mm-hmm.
have these different excuses why
Right. Yeah.
we can't go to church, we can't do this, we can't do that,
Mm-hmm.
and I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you know, that internal that internal strength
Mm-hmm.
to that maturity,
Mm-hmm.
the resource, where do we get that from? See
Yeah.
that's the thing that we have to try to like pull out of some of the men. Let's
Right.
not hide. We
Yeah.
can't hide. We have to let people know how we feel. And look, today is not okay,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Today is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I'm feeling. Stop.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
human,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And what you're describing here goes to um, what spikes those unfortunate numbers about men checking out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because again, um, they they're only seeing themselves in this rigid format.
Mm-hmm.
This is who
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Right.
And the moment, the unfortunate thing is, most men associate um, themselves with their jobs, with their careers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, like you described, if he loses that thing, then he doesn't know how to function,
Function. Yep.
because
Mm-hmm.
because I you know I'm not a man, um, unless I am provided, I am bringing home a paycheck. Uh, you know, so once he loses his job, then now he has this internal conflict going on, and we. So for one, we we have to, in this podcast, um, I'll help to help men to realize that we have to redefine what manhood is,
Right.
and that manhood is not your career. You being an
Mm-hmm.
accountant or a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer, a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
or a sanitation worker, or a teacher,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, a police officer, whatever the case is, that's what you do.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
not who you are,
Wow. Right. 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 Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
So we have to make that clear, and and the fact that you have lost a job, or even, we can talk about, even, let's say, health reasons. um, you became disabled or sick or incapacitated for whatever reason, whatever health reason.
Mm-hmm.
um, you are still a man, whether you lost a job or you lost your health. You're not defined by your job, and you're not defined by having good, perfect health. You are still a man. So you have to be able to wrap your mind around that, and then quickly be able to say, I how can I move forward in this season of not having a job or not having good perfect health. And one of the problems, I want to bring up here is part of that masculine norm that fails us, is that um, we tend to operate in isolation. We may have
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
friends,
Right. 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 Right.
but they're not really friends where you can call up Trevor or John or Marvin or Andrew and say, bro, not that I want to borrow $500 or borrow $10, but this is happening to me. I lost a job. Um, I need to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Um, we have this isolation thing about us as men, that we're even faking it, not just at home, but even among each other. We don't want, there's this hierarchical thing where you don't want to seem less than your peers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you end up suffering in silence, because you you don't bring anybody into that close space. So that is something that we have to um, break away from, because you need help. So not just help from your peers, but then you also need to be comfortable to get professional help,
Right. And I'm
right?
glad. I'm
Whether
glad you.
it's whether it's a healthcare provider, doctor, or
Mm.
healthcare provider, a psychiatrist, or whatever. We have to be able to normalize getting help.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that to light,
Yeah,
because that is key. That is essential.
yeah,
That men do that.
yeah,
Is nothing wrong with it, right?
yeah.
And the sooner that it's I guess put out there in a sense that it's okay,
It's okay. Yeah.
because you have more people.
Hmm.
Jason Wilson. There's a lot of different authors. Eric Thomas. There's a lot of people out there that are now pushing
Yeah,
that agenda, right?
yeah.
And what I'm saying is, there's nothing. How I want to frame this. Nothing soft
Right,
about, or nothing feminine, or whatever you want to put it,
right.
about going and seeking
And getting
professional help
right.
in
It
terms
doesn't
of.
make you crazy,
Yeah,
and
it
it
doesn't
doesn't
make
make
you
you weak.
crazy. It doesn't make you less than. It
Right.
it, it actually, to me, it shows a sign of
Of strength.
maturity and
Yeah,
strength. You know why?
yeah.
Because what happens is, it your mental health, is a part of
Your
who
future.
you
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
Period.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And if you can go and say, you know what, because a lot, you hear a lot of things. Oh, men don't take care of themselves. They don't go to the doctors. They don't just,
Hmm.
you know.
Right.
If you could take the time to do that, right,
Hmm.
and pour that type of attention into yourself,
Hmm. Hmm.
you'll soon see how things start to turn around.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, you may not be comfortable talking to Andrew, Marvin, Tony,
Hmm.
Trevor, but you may be able to talk to someone who's neutral that doesn't know
Right.
anything about
Right.
and you and this person have, and they just say, listen, man, I'm here. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, some men, that's all they need is from someone to listen to
To
what they
listen.
have to say.
Exactly.
They not even looking for somebody to give them feedback and
Mm-hmm.
always,
Right.
yo, you should do this and give advice. If they know that there's someone on the receiving end listening to them
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and saying, you know what, brother, I hear you,
Yeah.
and give you maybe one or two gems like, yo, look,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what what would you like to do? What would you like to see? You know,
Mm-hmm.
asking
Mm-hmm.
stuff from your perspective.
Right. Right.
Like I
Right. So
said to
sort
you
of
earlier, right,
bring out the answer
right,
from you.
from
Right.
you,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
right, and this journey, man, this thing, it's an ongoing process.
Right. Yeah.
You're not you're not gonna get this in 1 year, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lifelong
Right.
journey, especially with everything we have going on today. It's a very, the economy is showing you that.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we just said, we were just talking about there was once upon a time the men went out to work and the women stayed home. Or,
Mm.
now, if you don't have two incomes coming in,
Yeah.
you're dead in
Yeah.
the water.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly. Right. So yeah.
times is changing, man. So,
Right. So like you said, times are changing. So therefore, it only makes like dog. Therefore, our our um, our roles have to change
change.
with the change in time.
Time.
We can't hold on to oh. Uh, she's working, but I still want to come home to X, Y, and Z. No,
Hmm.
she's tired. She's tired. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And the same way she can't say, "Oh, well, my money is my money, and your money has to do all these things um, because you are supposed to be the provider of all these
Hmm.
things." Well, guess what? Um, the things of the world have been are so much more expensive that that's why we're both working. So my salary it's impossible to take care of everything. That doesn't make any sense. So you can't hold me to some ridiculous standard. That doesn't make any sense. And the same thing has to go. So that's the whole point. Life has changed. So therefore, we have to ensure that we see each other differently and don't hold each other to some archaic, um, you know, 1950s um, norms of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. We have to stop comparing ourselves, um, and not just to each other, but even to our parents and grandparents who may be saying, "Oh, in my days." Well, guess what? I'm not living in your days.
Hmm.
This isn't your days. No. Um, and as a man and your wife, you have to set your own rules and stand 2 feet 10 toes down and be firm and solid in how you guys um, agree to run your household, and not allow people to influence and shame you into how you guys operate and make you guys now feel guilty and start doing things that don't work for you. You know.
Yeah, be careful, Andrew. Be careful, because I tell you, man, boy, we, I'll say this, right?
Mm.
You know, when it comes to those values, right? And
Mm.
you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
You know, people pick and choose what they want to take out the Bible. People
Yeah.
pick and choose what they want to take out of a relationship,
Yeah.
or these past philosophies and
Mm.
past,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, the man is supposed to do this and he's supposed.
Mm.
See, if we tap into it, right?
Yeah.
Here's some of the pressures
Mm.
that are causing some of this, because there's a lot of pressure being put on
Mm.
young men
Yeah.
and older men
Yeah.
to live up to those
Right.
standards of old, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, like you said, things have changed. Though
Yeah.
that narrative is not the same narrative anymore. And it's
Yeah.
not to say that you can't still be a provider, right?
Right. It just
Because
looks
guess what?
different.
You you still the provider,
Yeah.
but you're going to be a provider of managing the resources, managing the household, managing. See,
But yeah,
that's.
Mark, I wouldn't trust me. I wouldn't say manager because because uh, I'm just saying that being a provider um, just simply looks differently because the woman is also, and women were always providing in the household. In biblical days, I mean, the marketplace, the women were in the marketplace. The women were always in commerce. I mean, when we read uh, Proverbs 31, and the Proverbs 31 woman, she was very industrious. Okay, she took care of the household, and in taking care of the household means that um, whatever needed to be done, she was out working and providing so that the house was kept clean, everything was in place. She wasn't just sitting down there with her arms folded, just popping
Mhm,
out
mhm.
babies. No,
Right,
she
right,
was
right.
in a, you know what I mean. So I think what happened is we created standards that were not in the Bible. We just
Hmm.
as men created these standards, and and um, and we wanted the woman to be in the house, and we were all doing whatever we were doing. But guess what? That may have worked back then, um, and it and chances are, um, I don't have a survey, but I can almost guarantee, Mark, that that setup only worked for men. It never worked for the majority of the women because not all of those women that were at home, that were home homemakers and whatever, wanted to be home because, as we can see with time, they wanted to participate in the things of the world. They wanted to go out and teach, and they wanted to go out and utilize the talents and gifts and resources um, that God gave them. So um, in most cases, it worked in the large majority for men, and I would even bring it closer home. Historically, in the Black community, Black women were always working. Black women were never staying at home. They may have come home a little bit earlier or something, but guess what? Black women were always working. They may be working in someone else's home, at a white person's house or whatever. I'm talking historically, but they were from slavery, they were in the field, picking cotton, cane, whatever you want to call it. So in the Black household, the man and the woman was always working. It was always a team effort. So this idea, this idea of, you know, the woman being at home. Um, we need to just zip that up, put it into storage, and just leave that alone. Not unless
Well,
your wife, if she chooses that, if your wife chooses that, then that's different. But to to um, to make that her duty, outside of she volunteering, um,
yeah, let me say this, brother. I don't even think that, and then again, this is gonna go for another podcast. I don't think that is the 2026 or
yeah,
that I don't think that part what you're saying is
mm,
what it is.
yeah,
It's more so, okay, and I'm going to go out on a limb here,
yeah,
right? That the dominance, right? Because you got it now. We're gonna step into a different arena.
mm,
You have a vast majority of women making more money
mm,
than men,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So here's where that conflict that we're talking about, the roles changing a little bit,
yeah,
because you have women that feel like, remember you said earlier, you know, you may have a significant other wife makes more money than a husband,
mm,
but still wants him to be the provider. Her money is her money, and your
right,
money is her money. So
yeah,
what I'm saying is that is what the norm is today. It's
right,
not so much of the equality or men wanting women to stay home and take care of the kids, and
mm, right. So,
times was
yeah,
different
yeah,
back
yeah,
then, right?
yeah. So
Now
again,
what
it goes back to what we were saying, where
Mhm.
we have to throw out those norms, because guess what? Time has changed.
Right.
So that man who is holding on to him being, the leader and the protector or whatever, and then suddenly realize that his wife is making more money than him. If he doesn't have the um, the compassion and the love and the wherewithal to say, you know what, um, does does that erode? Does that invalidate? Does
well
that nullify, or does that challenge my manhood?
right.
If he, then he's crazy.
But no,
You
but
know.
but but brother, remember what I said earlier about managing, right? So what I'm saying to you again, what I'm saying to you is, even though that may be the case, right?
Mhm.
That still takes nothing away from you being a man and managing your duties as far as, look, all right, you make, but this is how we're going to structure the household, right?
Exactly. So
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 right,
it's not
right.
it's not saying that, okay, because I make more money. So like this, you just say the man makes more money.
Mhm.
Because I make more money, I'm gonna tell everybody what to do.
Right, right,
Right.
exactly.
No.
That, yeah, that,
Yeah. So
yeah. Manhood has nothing to do with you being an idiot. Manhood has, you being a man, um, being a tyrant, is not manliness. That's just being dumb. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So 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 going back to the point you're bringing up, um, it doesn't matter who is making more money, or who is the only one bringing in the money. We have to have that conversation where this is how we're running our house. We're putting all the money together. It doesn't matter who puts in more or whatever. No, it's one money, and this is how the money is um, going to operate and run the household.
Also,
You know,
yes.
uh, so that's why I'm saying, I keep going back to, we have to redefine what it means to be a man in 2026 in the 21st century. We, don't allow stereotypes to dictate um, how you run your household, how things run in your household, I should say, because that's when you're going to end up into problems.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
totally agree with you, brother. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people
Yeah.
let social media,
Uh-huh.
peer pressure,
Yeah.
those
Dictate. Yeah.
dictate
Hmm.
what you and your significant what's for you is for you, right?
Yeah.
Everything is not for everybody.
Yeah.
So again, and here's the other thing to that.
Hmm.
You'll find yourself where you might have engaging conversations, right, with people,
Hmm.
and you'll hear different things here and there.
Yeah.
And one may say, well, not in my house. I just don't, feel that my wife needs to be doing all the cooking, or I don't
Right.
feel that my wife needs to take care of the kids solely by herself, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm a parent as well, so you'll have people, upper management or just people on a job. Well, why do you have to go to the doctors? Why you have? Because I'm a parent. Because I'm
Right.
a father. I'm a
Yeah. It's my
provider.
time.
This is what was my job too. I
Yeah.
can't put that all on
Yeah.
my. So again,
Hmm.
only people who are mature enough to understand
Hmm.
how that works
Right.
will understand what
Hmm.
you mean.
Right.
The people that you engage with to have these conversations that state that men should be paying or men should be doing that, you know
Mm.
those are things you want to kind of stay away from,
Exactly. Yeah.
because again,
Yeah.
as a man, if you're not well rounded, or you're not
Hmm.
mature enough,
Hmm.
you may hear that and
Right.
think that is, and then find yourself
Right.
on a different business
Yeah.
end, right?
Yeah.
So,
You hear that at work, and then you go home,
go
and
home, yeah, yeah, go
I
ahead,
tell
go.
I tell you, honey, you need to be
Good luck, right? Good luck to you.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Or vice versa. She may come over and say, hey, I
Yeah,
heard the girls talking,
yeah, right.
and you need to be stepping up. You
Yeah,
need,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you know, we're just here saying, um, if your current situation, if your current circumstance is not working for you,
Hmm.
realize that that's not the only option. You don't have to function the way the world is telling you to function.
Hmm.
Um, your masculinity is not tied
Hmm.
to A, B, and C.
See, right.
You know what I mean? You have to be mature enough. You have to be grounded enough to say, no, that's not for me. Like what Joshua 24, Joshua 25. As you were saying, I love that. Where he says, "As for me and my house," right? I love that because he's saying, "Listen, um, I don't care what y'all doing out there, but
Hmm.
as for me and my house."
Hmm.
This is how we are worshiping.
Hmm.
This is how we are moving as a team.
Change.
Team Green. This is
Hmm.
not about one person. No, this is me and my wife. This is how we operate, and our kids did right. Um, so I'm just saying, free yourself.
Hmm.
Free yourself from things that are just not working for you, and have those hard conversations. Don't be afraid of those hard conversations with, let's say you're just now getting into a relationship. Have those conversations up front, and
Hmm.
it has, don't, you know, don't make the exterior, the physical, uh, sway you beyond your moral values. because
See, here you go
because
again.
otherwise
Here you
you're.
go again. Here you go again, man. That's another podcast, brother.
I know that's another podcast, but
So,
you know,
good.
but yeah, but it's about having some self worth
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
to stand up on your principles,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, that is what is going to hold the relationship together. It's not the physical that's going to hold the relationship together. So if you guys are miles apart on your moral values, but you're just physically attracted to the person, that relationship is not going to last.
Yes, sir.
So you have to be connected on a deeper level. You have to be going like you have mentioned before, being equally
Equally
yoked.
yoked. Yes, sir.
It doesn't mean um, it doesn't
Perfection.
mean that we are uniform
Right, right.
in in everything that we think and do and
Mm-hmm,
whatever.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, but we are united on major
Core values.
principles and moral values. you
Mm-hmm.
know so so again, to me, uh, that was one of the biggest and best pros um, in me being a Christian. There's so much freedom um, that I got to be able to think for myself and not to be handcuffed by what's in the GQ magazine, or what's on ESPN, or whatever you're feeding yourself on, because those things are constantly changing. So therefore, my life was just constantly changing based on what these other people are telling me how I should live my life. Whereas once I became a Christian, it was like the best thing ever. There was just so much freedom. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to operate with so much clarity and freedom. You know, so yeah, yeah, yeah. I I totally get it. Um, you know, have those conversations. Keep going back to it. Have those conversations up front. Set the ground rules for how you want to live.
Yeah. So in closing, brother, what you have for us, man? What is your what is
Closing
your
thoughts.
what is your thoughts? What can you
Uh,
recommend to maintain your masculinity and
mm,
find your inner peace in your
yeah,
family,
yeah.
and show up for your family, show up in work,
Mm.
and just show up.
Yeah, to sure.
What's your thoughts on that?
So I would say, lay aside those rigid rules. Learn to be flexible. Um, Communicate your feelings, um, um, and don't allow that third party to dictate how your household um, works best. Your household is going to work best. Your peace of mind is going to be best uh, when you and your spouse have those heart-to-heart conversations, and you're both working to love and to elevate each other, as opposed to trying to stick to rules that's just not working for you. you know and like you mentioned, get help. Surround yourself with with solid brothers that you can confide in, and whether you're getting professional help through your pastor or through a healthcare provider, whatever that looks like, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor, marriage counseling, whatever that is, embrace all of that. So, that's where I would go.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
sounds good, my brother.
Yes.
Well, it was a
So,
pleasure,
Mark,
man. It was a pleasure. Do we
thanks.
have anybody out there with any questions?
Yeah, yeah. You know, so you know, we often have have silent um, cousins.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know, so they may.
I think sometimes the conversation, people are absorbing the
Yes,
information.
yes,
And, so when we don't have comments, I know that's what it was. As I listened,
right.
I was thinking, Marvin, you have to come back and do a part two with Andrew on this. It
I
was
could barely hear
honestly a
Bree.
thought-provoking conversation.
Is that Bree?
Okay, Marv, you're
Yes,
down.
it's
You're down.
Huh?
Bree. Yes, it's Bree. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope that you will come back and do
Yes,
some more of these conversations with Andrew.
yes. The door is open, Marv.
You said the door's open?
Yes,
Yes.
I definitely would like you to
Bree,
come back and have some more of these conversations with Andrew.
I can't
I'm not
hear
coming
anything
on
Bree
screen
saying.
because I'm not dressed
Bree, guess what?
appropriately.
He's not hearing you now.
Yeah, I
So
can't hear Bree.
Oh,
okay, so
wow. See?
hold on. Okay, so Bree, hold on. I'll tell you. So Marv, Bree is saying that she appreciated um, what you had to offer,
Right.
and she wants you to come back on the other fifth Sundays that I have, so that you can share more of your input.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Bree. Yes,
Yes,
I sure will. You
yes,
know, if I know in advance, since I know it's the fifth Sundays, I will try my
yes.
best to make sure that I pull off
Make yourself
time off.
available.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
Yeah,
thank you for having me, and it was
yeah,
a wonderful experience. You
yeah,
know, me and my brother, man, we do this all the time, man.
yes, yeah. Nothing new. We do this all the
Nothing
time.
new,
Yeah,
nothing new.
yes.
Oh, my God. Well, thank you guys so much. And I'm looking forward to the next conversation.
Thanks, Bree. God bless as usual.
God bless.
Thanks. Take care,
Take
guys.
care,
All right, take
everyone.
care.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Bye bye.